respectfully. So next is, so here are the factors that influence ethical communication. So first is the ethical aspect. Ethical aspect consider the complexities in the communication process. In the communication process that discerns what to disclose and not to disclose, thus facing three simple choices: to speak, to listen, or to remain silent. So you, as a communicator, you should know when to open up something and when not to. When you are kind of engaging or you are in a when in a communication process, you must know how to balance yourself, or you must know when to kung asa ka kanus ang kung asa ka kanus kung kanus ka pwede mo storya, kung kanus pwede ka maminaw lang, o kanus pwede hilom ra ka. So next is timing. Timing information disclosed at one point may be considered unethical in another period of time. So in connection to the first one, in revealing informations through the process of communicating with other people, timing should be considered. Why? Because wala ta kahibaw if that person is okay sa mga informations na imong gipangstorya niya. Wala kahibaw nga in the mood ba siya to talk about that kind of topic, because others might take it as unethical. So next is the ethical context. Communicators should know who are they talking to. The ethical nature of communication must be considered within the context of who, when, what, and where. So communicators should know who are they talking to, when, and what informations are they going to convey for them to set boundaries and for them or for the communication to flow smoothly. So in communication, there are ethical dilemmas and how to handle this when encountering. So first one is the plagiarism. I guess we are all familiar with this already, because plagiarism happens only if that person claiming another person's work without any citation. Kanang mga makuhanan kag plagiarism if magkuha kag mga ideas from someone niya dili nimo i-cite na iyaha dayto gikan. So next is the selective misquoting. Selective misquoting is the repetition of something someone has said in a way that is not accurate. So mahitabo ni siya if, example, nakay-kastorya niya. Ang istorya sa kana na certain person kay ganang kakapihon niya. Dili siya accurate, so mo na siya ang selective misquoting. Next is the misrepresenting numbers. Unethical manipulation of data by increasing, decreasing, altering statistics, or omitting the data. May tabo ni siya if kanang magtali-tali bitaw mga example, mga kung pila ang dead bodies niya. May tabo kay kanang masayop siya og kanang encode baron sa writer. So in this case, ma-misinterpret na sa mga tao kung unsa jud ang sakto na data ato na panghitabo. So last is the distorting visuals. Visuals are distorted by making a product look bigger or smaller to bait customer. Kabantay mo ana sa mga restaurants or sa mga menu sa restaurant, di ba makita ninyo na kanang tawag ani kanang dako kay siya tan-awon, kanya himan-himan sa actual kay gamay di kaayo expectation versus reality ba. So mao na siyang distorting visuals. Businesses use this strategy kanang to bait customers. So many communicators, through several predicaments in putting across the meaning of their speech, unethical dilemmas occurs when there is conflict between two important values. This sometimes happens because the sender and the receiver of the message share a relationship that makes it difficult to convey vital information for personal or professional reasons. So to shed light on dealing with these dilemmas, experts weigh in to resolve them. So first is you should focus on the importance of the information to be conveyed rather than the person or group to whom it is conveyed. Second is to distinguish clearly between and emotional, personal and personal emotions and professional conduct. Resolving an ethical dilemma calls for creative thinking to determine available alternatives. If the information is vital and professional conduct calls for sharing it, the sender is obliged to set aside all other considering and convey the message. So I guess that's all for this topic. Is there any questions? Hello, am I still audible?
Yes, ma'am. Yes.
Is there any questions, clarifications about the topic?
Wala na, miss.
Wala ra? Are you sure? Nasabtan ra? So kawala na may questions for your activity, you're tasked to watch and analyze a video on YouTube. I will be posting the link on the Google Classroom lang, and you are tasked to identify what ethical characteristics or what are the ethical principles and possible unethical communication that are being displayed in the video. Okay? I'll just post this on Google Classroom for clear instruction. Okay, thank you guys for your cooperation. I guess this is all. That's all for my topic for this afternoon. Miss.
Okay. So thank you, Teacher Kay, for the presentation. Okay, so that's it. That is on ethical communication. Okay, so that is on ethical communication discussed by Teacher Kay regarding the principles of communication and also the different ethical dilemmas that the communicator will experience in the process of exchanging ideas from one person to another. Okay? As responsible communicator, it is very much important that we understand when communication is ethical and when it is unethical. Okay, so before we proceed, let us have first the presentation of outputs on the activity 1, nonverbal conversation or nonverbal communication. Mayor, kindly facilitate the presentation.
Okay po, ma'am.
Okay, thank you.
Salutations. I would be the first one to present for group 1. So I will first play a video about sa katong newscasters nga among basihan sa among activity.
Janice, lahat ba ng 118 schools na may permisong magbukas ay nakapagbukas na ngayong araw?
Sa ngayon ay wala pang ibinibigay na listahan ng Department of Education kung ilan dito sa 108 and 18
New Gatorade, no sugar.
Pagawa ng limited face-to-face classes pero ayon sa
New Gatorade, no sugar.
balik na sa kanilang physical classes habang ilang paaralan naman na kasama sa expansion phase ay nagsagawa na ng in-person learning ngayong araw. Excited nga ang mga teachers at mga mag-aaral ngayong makakabalik na muli sila sa pisikal na klase matapos isailalim ang NCR sa Alert Level 2. Kanina nagpunta tayo sa Pio del Pilar Elementary School sa Maynila. Isa ito sa mga paaralan na kasama sa expansion phase ng face-to-face classes dito sa Metro Manila. Pagpasok pa lang ng eskwelahan, naka-social distancing ang mga estudyante at dumaan ito sa temperature check at disinfection. Bago naman makapasok sa classroom, dadaan rin muna sa foot bath at thermal scanner. Makikita rin na 1 seat apart ang mga estudyante at bawat lamesa ay may plastic barrier. Kindergarten, grades 1, 2 at 3 pa lang ang pinapayagan sa Pio del Pilar na lumako sa face-to-face classes at limitado lang din ang kapasidad nito kung saan 12 lang ang pwede sa kinder at 16 na estudyante naman sa grades 1, 2 at 3. Bilang pagsunod rin sa safety assessment tool ng DepEd, liban sa minimum public health standards, naghanda rin ang eskwelahan ng isolation facility at school clinic kung saan may naka-standby dito na nurse. Samantala, nandito naman tayo ngayon sa Ignacio Villamor Senior High School kung saan nagsimula na rin ang physical classes sa kanilang grade 12 students. Stricto pa rin ipinatutupad rito ang health protocols habang nakadistancing naman ang mga mag-aaral sa loob ng classroom. Siniguro rin ng pamunuan ng nasabing eskwelahan na mahigpit nilang minomonitor ang kalagayan ng kanilang mga estudyante at pinapayuhan na kung may karamdaman ay huwag na munang pumasok sa eskwelahan. 11 estudyante o isang section lang muna ang pinahihintulutan ng paaralan na lumako sa ngayon para obserbahan habang magdadagdag sila ng isa pang section pagkatapos ng 2 linggo. Ilan lamang ang mga nasabing eskwelahan sa nagsagawa nga ng physical classes ngayong araw at kasama na dyan yung ilan pang mga paaralan sa iba't ibang lungsod sa Metro Manila ang balik na rin sa kanilang in-person learning.
Narito pa ang ilang balita. Mahigpit ang ipinatutupad na health protocol sa ilang eskwelahan sa pagbabalik ng limited face-to-face classes sa NCR. Live mula sa San Juan, may unang balita si Corinne Katibayan. Corinne?
Susan, good morning. Balik eskwelahan na rin sa ilang paaralan dito sa San Juan City. Dito sa Pedro Cruz Elementary School, alternate schedule ang ginagawa kada grade level. Ang kinder students pumapasok mula alas 7:30 o alas 8. Ang mga grade 4, 5 at 6 ay bandang alas 7. Oras ng dismissal ay 11:15 hanggang 12:20 p.m. depende sa grade level. Maaga pa lang nakaset up na ang mga silid-aralan para sa mga estudyante. Sa loob ng eskwelahan may nakaset up na disinfectant at temperature check para sa mga estudyante.
Ay vaccinated. So dahil siyempre tinitingnan natin na dapat safe at maayos ang pagbabalik ng mga bata sa school.
Sa mga oras na ito, paunti-unti nang dumarating ang mga estudyante at ayon kay Principal Demi, darating si San Juan Mayor Francis Zamora mamayang alas 9 ng umaga para inspeksyonin at bumisita sa eskwelahan. Yan ang unang balita mula rito sa San Juan City. Ako si Corinne Katibayan, buong puso para sa Pilipino.
Kapuso!
I would now proceed with our presentation. Wait a moment lang. So, okay. So the topic that I will be talking about for today is all about nonverbal communication. I am Adi Lorly Igot, and I will be the representative from the Group 1. So before we formally start, I would like to include this fun fact. Did you know that all of your nonverbal behaviors, the gestures that you make, your posture, your tone of voice, have much eye contact, you make send strong messages. They can put people at ease, build trust, and draw others towards you, or they can offend, confuse, and undermine what you're trying to convey. So these are the answers for our activity 1 group work. So here are the questions. So we were asked to watch 2 local televisions. I'm sorry, makita akong presentation?
Yes, makita ra.
Oh, okay, thank you. So we were asked to watch. Makita akong questions kaning watch 2 local.
Wala, niungot sa non-verbal communication.
Oh, wait akong ikuan ha. Ano naman siya ay? Share na lang guro ako kung entire screen. Okay. Kaya makita, Clara?
Klaro.
So, nalala sa questions So we were tasked to watch 2 local television's newscast on a similar current issue. The newscast may be live or taken from a particular website. So in which we chose to look for clips on YouTube guys, since it's much more accessible man, so mo na mong gipili. So mo to akong giplay ganiha. So gikan to sa UNTV o sa GMA News. So number 1 is to compare the newscaster's presentation using a Venn diagram. Number 2 is to explain how the newscaster's nonverbal behaviors and signals affect us as an audience. And next is to identify 2 or 3 problems in the overall presentations of both clips. So number 1 is to compare the newscaster's presentation using a Venn diagram. Observed the following signals: A, which is physical appearance and posture; B, for gesture and bodily movements; C, for facial expressions; and D, for quality tone and pitch of voice. So here is a Venn diagram showing the difference between the 2 newscasters and their similarities. So first, let me explain to you the things that we have observed between the 2 newscasters. First, the difference lang sa. So for the UNTV newscaster, the newscaster stuttered at first, and as you've heard earlier, nag-stutter siya. Maybe the person was nervous, but we think that it is very important to deliver the message or such important information clearly. So medyo na minus points siya dito nga part. And as seen through the video, kanang it was observed that she had minimal hand movements, which is also okay. So for the GMA newscaster or reporter, it was observed that kanang she does frequent nodding and facial expressions were also observed, which made it much more entertaining to watch kay since tan-ana to mo dili ra robot ang nagtabi ba murag kanang she tried her best to connect with the people through facial expressions, and the newscasters speaks much clearer given the fact that she was wearing a mask. So both of the newscasters were wearing masks, but as observed na mas modulated or mas klaro ang team sa newscaster from GMA since unlike sa UNTV nga newscaster nag-stutter man siya, unlike sa GMA nga niditsura siya og kanang kuan. So here are the similarities that we observed from both reporters. So both were presentable in appearances. As we can see, their hair was tied in a bun, so clean jud sila tanawon and kanang very respectable. And next kay proper posture were evident in both, in which nagbarog jud sila og tarong, walay lingi-lingi, straight to the camera ilang gikuan, trying their best to deliver the information or the report. Then next kay they both spoke in a formal manner. So as we have heard, wala ta kadungog nga kuan baron they used improper words such as curses or kanang kuan. Then their voices were modulated. Madungog yun na to sila, which is very important if you want to be a reporter kay everybody needs to understand you and hear what you are trying to convey or the message that you are trying to say. So we have also seen that both of them were wearing masks due to the fact that it is one of the protocols for this pandemic. So that's it for our Venn diagram. Next is explain how the newscaster's nonverbal behaviors and signals affect you as the audience. So during our discussions with my group, we have observed that the newscaster's nonverbal behaviors and signals, such as nodding the head, hand movements, as well as the caster's eyes, helped us understand more about what they were saying and the content of the report. Since reporters also practice keeping eye contact with the camera, it helps us focus and listen to the report much more attentively and understand them more clearly. There are words or phrases that needs to be emphasized, and with the help of the nonverbal behaviors, the newscasters were able to do so. We were able to pick up the important information and grasp what the news is all about. Though they're not directly speaking to us, these nonverbal cues still play a significant role of delivering the news. Since it is a given fact that whenever we watch something, we want it to be entertaining and also contains important information. So if your way of conveying a message is very boring, it is a given fact na dili jud ta ganahan maminaw nila. So it was a good thing that both of the reporters tried their best na kanang they were giving us information without boring us, and they were straight to the point. And I think that they delivered their reports clearly enough for us to understand, which is very good. Next up is for the question number 3. Identify 2 or 3 problems in the overall presentation and propose solutions to rectify such. So as we've seen from those clips, although they did deliver the reports clearly and it was okay, but we also observed that there are concept kind of room for improvement. So here are the 2 problems that we have identified by the clips. So number 1, and we have observed that it was very hard for non-hearing people or kanang hearing impaired people to do lip read since kanang mask is a must man during these times. Due to the required usage of face masks outside, these reporters are forced to wear face masks during their report. This covers the mouth, which disables the opportunity to do lip reading, especially to those hearing impaired individuals. Lip reading is essential to some as it serves as a guide for them in hearing things. This may cause obstruction of the message as the report might have not been heard properly to these people. This can be eliminated by using a transparent face mask. So kanang it might not be like a big deal to us kay kuan man ta kanang makadungog raman ta nila, but for those people who cannot, maglisod jud sila since those reporters were wearing mask man. So we propose nga they start wearing the transparent face mask katong mura og kanang plastic gani siya. Pero kung dili jud siya as in safe for kuan, pwede ra nga during mo report siya dito ra niya sa lubon para makakuan sad ka ba, makahatag sa kag chance for those hearing impaired individuals nga maka-catch up sa latest news karon, since it is a very important thing man sad kay it was about the face-to-face classes nga ipa-implement hopefully puhon or next school year makuan na nato. So the next problem is the lack of interpreter. Although ang ikaduha nga or the other report kay naay interpreter, the other one did not. So communication can be in any type of form. May it be through books, news, newspapers, songs, sign languages, and there are a lot more out there. News outlets must be inclusive in delivering their news via aired TV and their own disposal, knowing that communication can be any form. The lack of interpreter makes it hard for hearing impaired individuals to understand the news aired on TV. Having an interpreter is a must to promote inclusivity in the media industry and also to expand the population news covered to those hearing impaired individuals. So as you can see, our the problems that we have identified focuses mainly on the people who have hearing problems or those hearing impaired individuals. So we think that it would be very much appreciated or very much needed nga every time there is something in the kuan baron in our television, may it be a news or kanang salida ra or any type of TV shows nga magbutang yung interpreter para dili ra kitay ma-inform, also those people ma-inform sad sila, and dili ra sad kitay ma-enjoy or ma-entertain. Like for example, if we are watching a comedy show baron, sila sad maka-release na to kas para dili sad sila dili sad nila ma-feel na left out sila ba. So it is important for the media to practice inclusivity para mas wide ang spread sa media industry, mas daghan ang makahibaw og ma-inform regarding sa mga nahitabo karon, since I think it is very important. So I think that is it for our presentation, and here are the links for our if you want to watch it. So here is the link for the UNTV and the and for GMA. Pwede ni sila kanang YouTube links. So here are the members. Yours truly, Igot Adilorli, and Miss Miles Dagle, Mr. Caba Granelo Jose, and Mr. Sumalino Grex. Thank you everyone for listening. That is it for our Kanman presentation for Group 1.
Okay, next group.
Good afternoon. Madungog na ko, guys.
Yes, go ahead.
Okay. Once again, a pleasant afternoon to everyone. Today, I will be presenting our group work activity about nonverbal communication. So I, Ronald M. Liguis, will be the presenter of Group 2's presentation. And as my group members for the said activity are Kent Rigel Canonigo, Ivan Soralta, Nance Janua Negre, and Eric Luis de la Victoria. So before we dig into the activity, let us first determine and understand what is nonverbal communication. So a nonverbal communication is an aspect of communication that is not expressed in words. Rather, informations are conveyed through nonverbal cues. So when we say nonverbal cues, these are signals where or which people use to communicate with one another without having a direct verbal translation. So these nonverbal cues are facial expressions, gestures, body language, tone of voice, eye contact between two individuals. Eric, next slide. See you next pa. So from the group activity we had, our task is to watch and observe two newscasters covering the same particular issue. So from our selected television newscast, the first reporter, which is presented by Vicky Morales from GMA News 24 Horas, she covered a news about Metro Manila being subjected to alert level 3 due to increased record cases of COVID-19 variant. The same was true from the second reporter, which was presented by Zen Hernandez from ABS-CBN News or TV Patrol covering an issue as well. The same topic from the first reporter. So to show you a sample video of how they presented each the issue, here is a short clip of each of them.
At kapapasok lang po na balita, isa sa ilalim muli sa Alert Level 3 ang Metro Manila, simula po yan sa Lunes. Ayon kay Presidential Spokesman Carlo Nograles, at kapapasok lang po na balita, isa sa
Nilinaw ng Manila Economic and Cultural Office o MECO na wala pang aktwal na lockdown o deklarasyon ng Alert Level 4 sa Taiwan sa ngayon. Nilinaw ng Manila Economic and Cultural Office o MECO na wala pang aktwal na lockdown o deklarasyon ng Alert Level 4 sa Taiwan sa ngayon.
So as you can see, as we have carefully analyzed both newscasters, each of them possesses different aspects and methods in presenting the issue to the news media. So as both of them expresses the same issue, nonverbal communication are being presented and portrayed by the two reporters, starting from their physical appearance and posture, gestures and bodily movements, facial expressions, and even the quality, tone, and pitch of voice of delivering the news. So our first task is to compare the two reporters showing Venn diagram. So starting off from their physical appearance and posture. So physical appearance is crucial in newscasting, and it is and cannot be substituted by any verbal approach. According to studies, physical appearance is a vital component, and personal grooming has a considerable effect in our perceptions of a person's attractiveness. The same is true in newscasting. If the person is delivering the news, if he or she presented himself very well to the public, the audience or listeners will be more interested and engaged in receiving the news. A good newscaster's posture, on the other hand, is also a determining factor. Why? Because confidence, submissiveness, and openness are all conveyed through posture. In addition, a newscaster's posture provides information as well about his or her social position and emotional state. Next slide, Eric. So from the newscasters I have mentioned earlier, differentiating the two in terms of physical appearance and posture, we can see that the newscaster from GMA News wears a solid red outfit, while the ABS-CBN wears black. With their differences, they both also share the same aspect of looking professional. They dress in modesty and having nice posture. Next. Moving on from gestures and bodily movement. Newscasters use gestures and bodily movements to convey a wide range of emotions and thoughts. So, from dislikes and hatred to admiration and affections, They frequently use body language in addition to words when they talk. So this is advantageous in nonverbal communication because as these gestures and bodily motions reflect the speaker's thoughts, which are typically unspoken and can thus serve as a window into cognition. Next, Eric, slide. So from the two newscasters on GMA News, the reporter showed more hand and bodily movement compared to the ABS-CBN newscaster, showing less to it. So as the two newscasters shows differences with one another, they also share the same aspect of showing speech gestures and bodily movements. Next. Next would be the facial expression. One of the most crucial parts of human communication is facial expression. So not only thoughts and ideas, but also emotions, which are communicated through the face. Personal emotions and intentions can be expressed through facial expressions in social institutions. So in newscasting, these movements reflect the speaker's emotional condition to the audience. So as humans can choose to adopt a facial expression on their own, expressions on the other hand are more often involuntary since they are strongly linked to emotion. Next slide. On the two newscasters, GMA tends to show more facial expressions than ABS-CBN. So judging from their facial expressions itself, the news content of GMA seems credible and engaging, while ABS-CBN exhibits calmness and captivation on it. On the other side, the two newscasters share the same expertise in showing their facial expression, especially in balancing and controlling each time they deliver the news. Next slide. Lastly is the quality, tone, and pitch of voice. So the quality, tone, and pitch of the voice are variation in which ways one speaks. So in newscasting, reporters or newscasters have the ability to modify one's vocal qualities. So the tone of the voice is crucial as well in communication as it functions together with the voice qualities. So varieties of tones are necessary for the various goals and contexts of sharing meaning. Newscasters use variation of pitches to address different audience in varied contexts of speaking. Such instance, a low pitch conveys seriousness and intimacy with the listeners, while a high pitch is advised on a jolly and exciting mood or sharing. So if these qualities can be met, the message of the sender who is trying to convey the message will be understandable and gullible. So next slide. Going back from the two newscasters, GMA News presented the news in a high pitch of voice, while ABS-CBN presented it in a low pitch voice. But the quality of the speaker is still clear and comprehensible. Their similarities for the both of them would be they share the same informative tone of voice and having a professional voice quality as well. Next. So the second task or question would be explain how the newscaster's nonverbal behaviors and signals affect you as the audience. So in our group, we think that the nonverbal communication cues used by the newscasters, the way they listen, look, move, and react, tell the audience whether they care if they're being truthful. So when the newscasters' nonverbal cues match what they're saying, trust, clarity, and rapport are increased. There are little differences between the appearance, body movements, expressions, voice quality of the two newscasters, but these are just distinctive qualities of a person. Still, both shows a mastery in delivering the news that they are trying to convey, and the audience, especially our group, so understand the message well as they are working in the most established news organizations in the country. Next slide. Next, Eric. The third question would be identify two or three problems in the overall presentation and propose solutions to rectify such. So from the set of clips we have shown, there is little to no errors in the overall presentation of both of the newscasters mentioned above. Both shows professionalism as they are also Oh, sorry, I mute my mic. Sorry. I'm going back. So, again, there is a little to no errors in the overall presentation of both of the newscasters mentioned above. Both shows professionalism as they are also trying their best in their presentation to make the audience engage and informed. So both speak slightly fast as news should be, but it may be a problem for some, especially to the elderly or to people with disability, especially those who are impaired in hearing. The second reporter, which is from ABS-CBN, speaks a little engaging than the first one from the GMA News. The ABS-CBN newscasters show less gestures and bodily movements, facial expressions, and lower pitch of the voice than that of GMA newscaster. But overall, the presentation shows mastery and both upholds each news organization's mission to quality news reporting. Next slide. Oh, and I think that would be all for today. Thank you for listening.
Good afternoon, guys. Group 3 will be next presenter. First, let's watch the news from GMA and News 5 about two states who declared independence from Ukraine.
Move your everyday.
Balita naman sa tensyon sa pagitan ng Russia at Ukraine. Pinatawan na ng economic at financial sanctions ng Amerika ang Russia at dalawang bayang nagdeklara ng kalayaan mula sa Ukraine. Pinangangambahang lalong tataas ang presyo ng langis dahil sa tensyon. Kaya dito sa Pilipinas, nanawagan ng ilang mambabatas na magpasa ng batas para suspindihin ang excise tax sa langis ng 6 na buwan. Narito ang report. Sa pagtaas ng tensyon sa Ukraine, sabi ng OWA, 3 batch na ng mga OFW ang inilipat sa mas ligtas na lugar. Walang pilitan pero para sa mga gustong umuwi na ng Pilipinas, may maaasahan.
Move your everyday.
Pinasok na ng Russian forces ang border ng Ukraine na hudyat daw ng panakop ng Russia. At dahil po dito, nag-umpisa na rin magpataw ng kaliwat kanang sanctions ang ibang bansa laban sa Moscow. Nakahanda naman daw ang Pilipinas na iliga sa mga Pilipino sa Ukraine kapag lumala ang gulo. Nasa frontline ng balitang yan si Maricel Halili.
Mahabang convoy ng mga tangke, armored personnel carriers at mga military truck ng Russia ang sunod-sunod na pumasok sa border ng Ukraine sa lungsod ng Donetsk kanina. Nangyari yan ilang oras lang matapos kilalanin ni Russian President Vladimir Putin bilang mga independent state ang
Balita naman sa tensyon sa pagitan ng Russia at Ukraine. Pinatawan na ng economic at financial sanctions ng Amerika ang Russia at dalawang bayang nagdeklara ng kalayaan mula sa Ukraine. Pinangangambahang lalong tataas ang presyo ng langis dahil sa tensyon. Kaya dito sa Pilipinas, nanawagan ng ilang mambabatas na magpasa ng batas para suspindihin ang excise tax sa langis ng 6 na buwan. Narito ang report. Sa pagtaas ng tensyon sa Ukraine, sabi ng OWA, 3 batch na ng mga OFW ang inilipat sa mas ligtas na lugar. Walang pilitan pero para sa mga gustong umuwi na ng Pilipinas, may maaasahan daw na
That was all for the news. Let's go on with the presentation. We are Group we will be the group 3 representing next slide. With this report is brought to you by J.K. Capisnon, Aldrin Felices, Anjo Lebron, Kervin Yadas, and Rebecca Dixon. Before we talk about the nonverbal, what is nonverbal communication, let's first define what is communication. Communication is a process of sharing and conveying messages or information from one person to another within and across channels, context, media, and cultures. From McCormack of 2014. There is a wide variety of contexts and situations in which communication can be manifested. It can be a face-to-face interaction, a phone conversation, a group discussion, a meeting or interview, a letter correspondence, a class recitation, and many others. Next. Now that we know what is communication, let's talk about what is nonverbal communication. Nonverbal communication is a type of interaction which people use their actions to transmit and represent meanings. Nonverbal communication encompasses all human responses are not communicated in words, stares, grins, tone of voice, movements, walking, standing, and sitting manners, appearance, attitude toward time and space, personality, gestures, and others are examples of nonverbal communication. We will be talking about this later on the presentation. Next. We were tasked to observe the two newscasters from physical appearance and posture, gesture and bodily movements, facial expressions, quality, tone, and pitch of voice. So first, we will be talking about the similarities of JMA and News 5. Both newscasters wear formal attire, wearing light makeup with straight posture, straight face, and head gesture, and with a serious tone. Now, let's talk about the GMA newscaster. The newscaster wears a formal attire for the news with some light makeup, and while she's standing straight with relaxed shoulders while holding her script. No major hand gestures was observed because she was holding the script, preventing her hands to move around. The JMS newscaster was also observed to blink at some phrases to emphasize the words. It was also observed that she talks in a fast pace with a moderate, clear voice. On the other hand, the News 5 newscaster, there is only a minimal hand gestures while steadily focused on what he's looking at. The presenter was the News 5 newscaster was observed to be slightly having a hard time looking at the prompter, maybe because he has blurry eyes. And the newscaster was talking in a calm pace while voice isn't clear with slight stuttering. So, next. Two, explain how the newscaster's nonverbal behaviors and signals affect you as the audience. As an audience who's fond of listening and watching news from television, I can tell that the Reporters' light gesture and bodily movements attracts me as they blend in what they report. I was hooked as an audience by the nonverbal behaviors of the newscaster. This is because I was locked in to the topic they are discussing. The hand gestures and body language of the newscasters were emphasizing something which made their speech meaningful, impactful, and relevant. The newscasters' behavior made them appear dynamic, animated in delivery. Great. Nonverbal communication is as important as verbal communication in making sure that your audience receives your message correctly. It plays a significant part in our lives because it can stride a person's capacity to relate, lock in, and establish meaningful interactions and standard of living. The newscasters also communicates nonverbally while they speak. As an audience, nonverbal messages can either help or weaken the information's interpretability for the audience. Making sure that the movements are carefully controlled is essential. Avoiding unnecessary movements to prevent the audience from being confused because it can be annoying for the audience. As an audience who's fond of listening and watching news from television, I can tell that the reporter's light, gesture, and movement attracts me as they are blend in on what are they talking about. The words, the pose, and the facial expression all concur. We will likely to discover them as persuasive and credible. But if the nonverbal oppose this idea, as the receiver, I will be more likely to observe the nonverbal messages over the verbal substance. They can put individuals at ease, construct belief, and draw the audience towards them. Or they can annoy, befuddle, and weaken what you're attempting to pass on. When the nonverbal signals coordinates well with the words, they can increase clarity and affinity. When they do not, they can create pressure, doubt, and perplexity. Next. Number 3, identify 2 or 3 problems in the overall presentation and propose solutions to rectify such. So about the News 5 newscaster, the voice wasn't clear and with stuttering voice. The newscaster needs to deliver every word with normal frequency and flow of speech. Because the newscaster from News 5 was having a hard time reading the prompter. On the other hand, the GMA, throughout the whole newscast, the GMA newscaster was observed to deliver every message in a fast pace. It would make someone with a bad hearing because they can miss important messages and information if it was in a fast pace. To rectify it, the newscaster needs to slow down in delivery of every message to understand the report for every viewer. Next. So these are our references for the newscast. It was all in YouTube because it was very accessible. Thank you for watching. I am Anjomart Lebron signing out.
So, good afternoon, guys. So, the next group to present is the group 4. What's a new present? Kita ra siya guys. Kita ra.
Kita ra.
Sige, sige. So guys, I'm from group 4. So here's our PowerPoint presentation about the activity. So nonverbal communication. So before we proceed, so let me tell you about the nonverbal communication. So nonverbal communication refers to the transmission of message or signals via nonverbal platforms such as eye contact, facial expression, gesture, posture, and body language. It consists of utilization of social cues, kinesics, distance and physical environment or appearance, speech, and touch. So about the activity, mom, Miss Lim told us to form a members five members in a group. So we need to watch 2 local television newscaster on a similar current issue. So saya pakita sa mga video. So the first video is from TV Patrol. Masya yung audio guys. Wala. Higher interest. Okay.
Karen, magpapatuloy pa ang maulang panahon sa Southern Luzon at Visayas hanggang Miyerkules dahil kay Tropical Depression Agaton. Naglandfall ito sa pangalawang pagkakataon sa bayan ng Basay, Samar kaninang alas 4 ng hapon. Taglay pa rin ang lakas ng hangin na 45 km per hour malapit sa gitna at pagbugsong umabot ng 60 km per hour. Sa ngayon, halos hindi ito gumagalaw. Nakataas pa rin ang Tropical Cyclone Wind Signal number 1 sa Southern Masbate, sa Eastern Samar, Northern Samar, Biliran, Leyte, Southern Leyte, northeastern portion ng Cebu kasama ang Camotes Islands, eastern portion ng Bohol, Surigao del Norte at Dinagat.
So mao na siya guys sa among first link nga among gi-refer sa activity. So the next one is from GMA News.
Panahon ni GMA
By Mangtani.
Meteorologist Nathaniel Mangtani Cruz.
Mga kapuso, magpapatuloy yung pananalasa ng bagyong Agaton habang papalapit naman yung isa pang mas malakas na bagyong papasok ng Philippine Area of Responsibility. Nakataas ngayon ang signal number 1 dyan pa rin sa may southern portion ng Masbate, gayon din sa may eastern Samar, northern Samar, Biliran, Leyte, southern Leyte, northeastern portion of Cebu kasama ang Camotes Island at dyan sa may eastern portion ng Bohol. Nakataas din yung signal number 1 dyan sa may Surigao del Norte at Dinagat Islands sa Mindanao. Makakaranas po ng masungit na panahon ngayong Samar at ang kanyang bugso 60 km per hour at ito mga kapuso halos hindi kumikilos yung bagyo. Sa forecast track ng Pag-asa, unti-unti itong lalayo sa...
So that's all sa among kuan. So let's proceed now. So wait. Hello, hello, hello. Hello. Kalimot ko unmute guys. Sorry. Okay, balik ta. Sorry. So guys, in kuan, tala ni pasosono kay kuan. So the first is the physical appearance. So and posture. So physical appearance is also important in nonverbal communication, which you can communicate with confidence, knowledge, pleasantness, and competence. So in Venn diagram, we differentiate what there are differences between their physical appearance and posture. So in TV Patrol, man and the GMA is an old man or elderly man. So mas idaran ang katong nasa GMA. Yeah. And TV Patrol, reporting while standing, good posture, and more in hand movements. And in GMA, has a minimal hand movements. So in the middle, ang common nilang duha is they both wear formal attire which is presentable in the news, presenting the news, less accessories, proper haircut, no makeup, and free hand. So the next one is the gesture and bodily movements. A gesture is a particular body movement that complements a spoken statement or conveys a specific thinking or feeling. So in TV Patrol, constant rising and falling of hands whenever the newscaster is facing forward. So as you can see in the video, ibuhat na niya, overlapping of hands when facing forward, while on the other hand, narrowing of eyes when reading the text on the screen. So sa GMA kato idalidaran man to kay mana ang basta mana siya ganaro siya siyang eyes while gabasa sa script. Then licking of the lips, hand holding together while holding a remote when facing forward, rising and falling of hands when emphasizing words. So in the middle is facing sideward while pointing a certain place on the screen to emphasize either if it's in the map or information that is shown. So they both nodding, swaying, and blinking. So the third one is the facial expression. So one or more action or posture of the muscle beneath the skin of the face constitute a facial expression. According to one contentious theory, this motion reveal an individual emotional state to observers. Nonverbal communication includes facial expression. So in TV Patrol, reassuring and more positive outlook expression portrayed by the face of the newscaster, while on the other is slightly positive outlook expression portrayed on the face the newscaster. Common of both of them was able to maintain a neutral or calm facial expression. So the last one is the quality, tone, and pitch of voice. Optimal speech results in a rich, clear tone in which the muscles of the vocal mechanism work optimally to generate an ideal quality voice with natural projection. Speaking in your optimal pitch range is preferable for professional speech and voice since it produces most lively tones. So, and TV Patrol use a high-pitched voice, uses an optimistic voice, pauses to show emphasis and strengthen the clarity of the message, and clear and audible pronunciation of words. So, while on the other hand, in GMA, low-pitched voice uses a respectful tone of voice, uses a soft and low volume of voice. Common of both of them is assertive, formal, clear quality of voice, uses a conversational style. So the next objective is we need to explain how the newscaster nonverbal behaviors and signals affect you as an audience. So nonverbal behaviors can definitely contribute on the success of delivering a message effectively. According to TARC 1985, these nonverbal behaviors and signals are done subconsciously, which is great support for a speaker to have more control while communicating with the audience. From the chosen newscast, we can observe that the nonverbal signals used by the newscaster help them emphasize what they are expressing. These signals provide the audience a basis for how the message should be interpreted and influences them on how they understand the news. These nonverbal behaviors or signals are shown through the use of an eye contact, vocal, body posture, gesture, and facial expression. Applying these signals while delivering a message encourage the audience to give more attention to the newscaster. So to sum it all up, nonverbal communication is important in our lives since it improves a person's capacity to relate, engage, and form meaningful contacts. So the last objective is identify 2 or 3 problems in the overall presentation and propose solution to rectify such. So the first is adjust the set lighting so that the audience can see the screen clearly. So on the video is sa screen, some portion of the screen has highlighting which irritates the eye. So medyo hayag-hayag kay siya which reflects ang kahayag sa suga ni reflect sa screen niya nag-cause siya og kanang mas huwawan mo tan-aw ba. So need pa na siya improve. So the next is clearly point out the place that should be pointed. So for example, for the deaf people who can't hear can see which part of the screen the newscaster intends to understand the audience. So mas maayo nga kung nagigay tudloon ikaw newscaster ka, di lang man kay kuan ang gatan-aw kay kanang normal na tao kanang walay disorder na sa uban nga kanang mga bungol ya mutanaw sa TV. So mas maayo nga kung i-point nimo tarungan nimo point kung asa ang gobyerno imong gipasabot. So that's all for our presentation. So group 4 members Carbos Janice Gabato, Mario Alan, Lucero Baby Jamaica, Amanda Me, and Gabriel Tuto Early May. So that's all for today. Thank you for listening.
Some more? Pa, Mayor?
Kinsa next group? Group 5.
So, good afternoon, teachers and classmates. Madungog ra?
Yes.
Okay. So, balik. Good afternoon, teachers and classmates. I am Rosemary Mahinay from Group 5. I and Mr. Hernandez will be the presenters for today's activity number 1, the nonverbal communication. So first, Group 5 consists of 5 members as shown in the slide. Ms. Saneza Regine Hernandez, Tobias Kane, Mahinay Rosemary, Omega Noel, and Valiezado Brian. Our task is to watch 2 local television newscasts on a similar current issue. The newscast may be live or taken from a particular website. So we took television newscasts from YouTube. Wait, okay. Share. So, mani ang first na mga kuan newscast television.
Qualification case laban sa pagtakbo ni Presidential Candidate Bongbong Marcos. Nakaangklang petisyon sa hindi pag-file ni Marcos ng income tax return na lang sapat na meritong inihain petisyon ng kampo ni Salandanan. Sabi rin ng COMELEC, taglay ni Marvin Constitution. Sa isang text message, sumiti sila ng motion for reconsideration sa kaproon na.
Dayon, kina ang ikaduha.
For reconsideration ng mga petitioner sa kasong disqualification laban sa kawalan ng sapat na basihan. May unang balita si Tina Panganiban Perez.
Po ang inihain petisyon ng grupong Pudno nga alegasyon ng mga petitioner, ang hindi pagkahain ay maituturing na krimeng may moral turpitude. Pero hindi kumbinsido rito sina Commissioner Socorro in petisyon, sinabi nilang batay sa isang ruling ng Supreme Court, moral turpitude. May moral turpitude daw kung ang punto ng dibisyon o ay ipinagbawal at pinarusahan kay si Marcos dahil nahatulan itong guilty sa petitioners na batas ay nasa desisyon na nagtanggal sa parusang pagkakakulo, kumandidato sa pagkapangulo. At what Attorney Ray Paulo sa sinabi naman ni Marcos na magandang development ito. Itong petisyon laban kay 5 na ang naghain ng unbanked na target nito.
Yan ang unang balita.
Kapuso, mauna ka sa mga balita kan Last GMA News, i-click lang ang subscribe button. Sa mga kapuso naman abroad, maaari kami masubaybayan.
Namata ang among mga napili nga kuan newscast. Ayun. Balik ta sa among presentation. Mao na among kuan mga idea nga na kuha sa among gitna among napili nga mga newscast television. Number 1, compare the newscasters' presentations using a Venn diagram. Observe the following signals. A, physical appearance and posture. So, ang usa nga among katong napilian namo is among gipangalan og GMA woman, then ang usa is GMA elderly. Ang first difference kay ang usa woman, dayon ang usa kay elderly woman. Then length of hair is long, then ang usa kay short. Ang usa pod posture is somewhat stiff while standing, while ang usa posture is relaxed while standing. Then ang similarity sa duha kay wearing formal attire, holds paper in front of their stomach, then wears little accessories, dayon no excessive makeup, and last is speaking while in standing position. Dayon, next is B, gesture and bodily movements. Ang GMA woman among na-observe is distinct rise and fall of shoulders when breathing deeply. While ang usa, swaying slightly while speaking. Another difference is ang poise. Then ang usa pod is fluid or animated body movements. While ang ilang similarities kay nods head to make emphasis of their words, And another similarities kay they both are purposeful. Then next kay ang ilahang facial expressions. Ang GMA woman, we observe na her expression seems unfriendly, while the other has a genuine smile. Then ang GMA woman pod is slightly stiff expression, while ang ilahang similarities, they both show visible rise and fall of our eyebrows, and another is their constant eye contact. Letter D is their quality, tone, and pitch of voice. Ang GMA woman, we observe her sound of voice is serious. Another is speaks at a slightly higher pitch. Then last is quality of voice is alert. Then while ang GMA elderly woman kay stresses her words to give weight. Then last is tone of her voice is natural. While there are similarities, they both speak clearly and speak faster or slower at different times. Another is stresses words to emphasize different points. So, maura to siyang number 1. Next kay number 2 will be explained by Mr. Hernandez Obescain.
Hello, madungog na. Hello. Madungog na.
Madungog ra pre.
Number 2, explain how the newscaster's nonverbal behaviors and signals affect you as the audience. The nonverbal part of their speech is a presentation of themselves as well as their message through the use of eye contact, vocals, body posture, gestures, and facial expression. The newscaster's nonverbal behaviors allow them to have more control over the trajectory of their communication. Their nonverbal behaviors provide an important facet where it affects us audience to focus our attention seriously to them. It is as if their credibility, sincerity, and their knowledge become apparent through the use of nonverbal behaviors. Their nonverbal delivery also assists in setting an aesthetic tone by providing embodied insight into how us audience should think, act, or feel. Next. Three, identify 2 or 3 problems in the overall presentation and propose solutions to rectify such. So number 1, the set and the lightings could be improved. So sa nakita na to ganiha ang video kay Kuan suwaw. Yeah, sakit sa mata. And number 2, the reporter's eyes stick on the side for reading the news. Saka lead kay Kuan ang reporter cannot face sa kilid and Kuan ang solution ani sa duha kay number 1, they could have arranged set in studio where lightings can be manipulated aron dili pareha sa to na suwaw, and you should place the teleprompter either above or slightly behind the camera, not on the side aron magatubang ang reporter sa camera and makafocus na sa ilang ipang ingon and makasabot na sa ilang mga gi-report. That's all. Thank you.
So, mao to ang among report, Group 5. Thank you, ma'am.
Is it the last group? Okay, still have group 6.
Okay, so good morning. My name is Lawrence Miguel Ibarra, and I am from Group 6. And here is our presentation in regards to the activity number 1, nonverbal communication. So first, we're going to show you the 2 videos that we have chosen to compare their mannerisms or their like nonverbal communication styles. So So here's the video.
Ed, pagpatak naman ng alas 10 ngayong gabi ay sinimula na ulit yung mga biyahe ng mga provincial bus. Kung kanina, Ed, punong-puno yung nasa likuran ko, itong palibot nitong Victory Liner. Sa ngayon ay kukonti na lamang yung mga sa pamunuan ng mga naipong pasahero ngayong araw nga sa Victory Liner. Ed.
Biyernes ngayon at huling araw ng trabaho ng karamihan,
Mel, dagsa na rito sa terminal ng bus sa Trinoma yung mga pasaherong papunta ng Central at Northern Luzon. Ito na yon, yung mga dating sumasakay sa EDSA, sa Maynila, sa Caloocan, na hindi makasakay doon ngayon dahil walang operasyon yung kanilang mga dati sinasakayang provincial bus. Nag-iipon-ipon sila ngayon dito. Ang sabi ng mall, kami lang daw talaga ngayon ng mga pangatlong araw na terminal ng Trinoma ay hanggang alas 10 ng gabi. Mel.
Maraming
So from the two reporters that was displayed before, we have made a comparison in a Venn diagram to compare their nonverbal communication styles. So first reporter he appears to use more gestures and arm movement to indicate on the speech he is speaking. His speech appears to be more lively and casual, appears to slow down quite a bit on important piece of information to help us, the viewers, understand or decode the message more, and talks fast in attempt to give enough information in a small window of time. So basically, he's more, he's more in a haste in terms of time, and but despite that, he takes time to convey to share the most important parts of the information. And the GMA News reporter shows very minimal body movements. Speech are spoken in a slower pace and more formal. Pitch increases and speech increases in speed to note an important information, gives a more generalized information on the topic in order to give viewers understanding on the issue. So while somehow different, there is a very similar on both, that they really want to share the information. More importantly, like they give more importance to the most important information. So their similarities, they wear business casuals, posture. They usually put their left hand in front of the stomach, and their facial expressions react based on the importance of the information being disseminated.
Okay, so continue the report. I'm Adrian Mausa, and I'll be starting with the second question. So from the comparison we've made using the Venn diagram, we can now answer the second question, which is to explain how the newscasters' nonverbal behaviors affects us audiences. So from what we can determine from the comparison between the two videos, we can see that there's a major difference on how the information was delivered. The video from GMA News shows more nonverbal behaviors from the reporter in comparison to the one from News 5 Everywhere, and this signifies the importance of nonverbal behaviors, with the reporters being more active in their nonverbal behavior. We, the viewers, get more interested in the information being disseminated. It also helps to clearly understand the information that is being reported, since we can easily determine which information that is being said are important and which is not. Next slide, please. So if we try to look back at the video, we can somewhat say that they have successfully conveyed and disseminated the information that they want. However, there are still problems with the overall presentation. So here are the certain problems that can be found in the presentation among the two. So first, the reporter of News 5 Everywhere should include more nonverbal gestures in her reporting as it allows the viewers to easily understand the report. Second, both reporters should be more mindful to their posture and how they present themselves in front of the camera. Third, both reporters must adjust on the pace of their speech, considering that speaking too fast can give viewers a hard time to process the information, while speaking too slow will make the viewers ignore the information due to lack of interest. And lastly, facial expressions should be improved and be more clear as the mask does not aid in showing their expressions. So I think that's it. So again, we are the Group 6, and thank you for listening and thank you for your time.
Is that the last group?
Napay last ma'am, 7, group 7. Ito ako i-check ang kuan kay murag wala naman siguro yung next group akong i-check ang group dissemination sa akong copy. Wala na day ma'am, last to siya ma'am.
Okay, so thank you very much for your presentation on the comparison between the two newscasters regarding their nonverbal cues or their nonverbal gestures. Okay? So, indeed, nonverbal communication is very much important, or it plays a great role in communication situation, because there are informations that nonverbal cues can give even without putting a word. Okay? Just the simple raising of your eyebrows or shrugging of your shoulders, how you use your hand gestures can contribute to giving clear information to the receiver. Okay? However, there are also disadvantages if nonverbal cues will be used abusively, or we use too many gestures, too many facial expressions, okay, which sometimes could distract already the listeners, and in the same way could disturb or could distort the idea that is being transported to the receiver, to the listener. Okay, so these hand gestures, facial expressions can help when they are used sparingly. Okay, and of course, our tone and the quality of our voice also give highlight, okay, to the delivery of the message. Okay, if you are the communicator, if you are the speaker, you should know when to make your voice loud and when to make your voice soft. Okay? Proper modulation of voice is very much important, okay, in communication. Okay? Kaya dili pwedeng permira high pitch ang imong tingog, permira ka murag nasuko, permira murag inurgent ang tone sa imong boses. Okay? You should know how to modulate, how to make it soft, how to make it loud, especially if you are emphasizing on some information. Okay? So, putting stress or putting an impact to some phrases or to some words to give emphasis to the idea that we are presenting can help, okay, in better understanding of the message being conveyed. Okay, so that is all for communication, nonverbal communication. Okay, and this would connect to the discussion that was presented ganina by teacher Angela or teacher Kay about ethical communication. Okay, how we behave in the communication setup. Behaving in the sense that how we choose the words that we use, okay? How we deliver our message, okay? How we say it can give a different meaning, okay, to the person receiving it. Mura-mura raman na og nangutana lang, ang imong purpose is pangutana lang, but the way you ask question is very much sarcastic or pinahambog or murag sikinsa nga nangutana, okay? It will give a different impression to the listener or to the person you are asking to, okay? So ang imong tone, ang imong way of asking or presenting the information, presenting the data, will also affect, okay? I will also count as your ethics, as your attitude on how we give or how we deliver the conversation or the communication process. Okay? So we have to put in mind when our conversation or our communication will be ethical or unethical. Okay? So that's it. Napay pangutana? Are there some confusions or additional information, inputs from the discussions given a while ago by Teacher Kay? Teacher Kay, do you have something to add?
Hello, Miss. Wala na, Miss.
Okay, so there being none, Teacher Kay has mentioned a while ago that she will be posting an activity for you to answer, okay? And in addition, I will also post your performance task for this lesson on ethical communication. Okay, so kung wala na pangutana, we'll just end up from here. Thank you for your time and participation for this session. Okay, good afternoon, everyone.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am.